Welcome to PowerInvesting.com. This is Tommy Lackey, and I'm going to be going through some stocks today and basically giving you one of the simplest ways to use the website to find things that you can focus on almost every day. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to jump in. Like I said, I'm going to take the simplest view to get where we need to go. And what we want to do is we're going to go over here to the Universe tab, and underneath the Universe tab, there's Power Universe Rankings. And if we hit that particular link, it takes us to this page, which is basically every stock that's currently in the universe ranked versus each other from 100 down to 1 on a 3-month relative strength ranking. Again, I use 3-month relative strength because I really like the short-term turns and like to try to get things more early in a move or in a move out of a consolidation. So today, like I said, I'm going to take the quickest way since we're up against the market open and show you that the first thing I do is just sort it by RS movers. You can choose whichever one of these columns you want to sort it by. Maybe you sort it by the weekly percent gains, whatever works. But I like the RS movers, and I note that when I start looking down this particular ranking setup, I can see that there is a ton of names that have moved more than 20 points over the last week. Actually, there were 256 names on this particular list. So what I've done is I've gone through many of them and basically pulled out about 70 different charts. We're not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go through a few that I like, but we're going to pull out about 70 different charts that can be looked at. Some of these have already moved some of these have already moved a good bit and might need a little bit of consolidation, but they are all moving better than the rest of the stocks in the universe. Now, one of the things you can see is here on the relative strength, up here at the top, we have a lot of them at 94, 89, 86, a lot of green going on up here. And when it takes, you got to pull down a little bit, start getting in some of these yellow. I like it from basically yellow down to probably an orangey level if I can find some of those in here that still are in the RS movers rank. So I try to move quickly through the list. Sure, if I like the ticker, I'll look at it no matter what the relative strength is, or if I like the way the color scheme looks, which we'll talk about in another video. But today what I did is I just went through and I picked out a bunch of stocks that I thought were movers and things that looked opportunistic, but relative strength rankings were not all the way up in the sky already. So let's take a quick run through some of these and just take a glance. The first one on the list is TGI. This one, as you can see, has a double bottom. It's popped out of it in the last couple of days. You have an RS, a relative strength index, still in a bear range on the daily, but the weekly is not. It's in a bull range, and it held up above during this pullback. On the weekly stance, you can see that we've got a little bit longer consolidation going on. It came down, it's been a few weeks under the 45 EMA, and has now moved back above. The next one is CRDF. Again, some of these are very, very small names. You want to make sure you're conscious of that. And I'm just showing potential setups so that you can go through, do your own due diligence, and find the trades that work with your style. Now, this one I liked a lot because, while it's still in a bear range, it's right at 60. Actually, it closed on 60 on Thursday. But it looks like it's moving out of a nice little base here. Had a nice breakout Friday with some volume down there. And on the weekly, you can see you have a nice little flat divergence going on with the price chart. This one's one that could potentially be worked against Thursday's low if you are so inclined. Again, a $270 million company, so make sure you're looking into the specifics of the company and position sizing accordingly. CVET is another one, looks like it's a little inverse head and shoulders down here that it broke out of on Wednesday, and then Thursday held up pretty well. Honestly, this one, if it makes it over 20 and holds over that big volume node, could be a real strong mover back to the highs after a long downtrend. A change in character, basically, is what we look for the potential of. DIN, also showing a flat divergence here with price and our relative strength, and getting ready to potentially break out of this double bottom. A move higher above here has a good potential, and with RSI holding above 40 on the weekly and curling back higher. ANGO is another one that's moved quite a few points, but it's right up against this volume areas here on the daily and the weekly. It might take a little bit of sideways movement, but this is one you can keep an eye on. breaking into a fresh RSI bull range. The weekly RSI positive reversal is what really caught my eye off the 45 EMA. Now, EB, Eventbrite, again, has moved into a zigzag pattern and is up against some potential volume resistance, but also another one that if it can break into a new bull range, could get moving. One of the casinos, MLCO, looks like a potential double bottom if it can move over this 11 area. These have really been crushed and got some downtrend lines that we'd be working on as well. But the gap up on Thursday that held is right up against an area that if it moves over could get legs up to around the 12 area or so. I'm going to skip on down here a little bit. IIIV, whoops, I just took it out of my list. This was one that caught my eye on the zigzag idea. It came across right here where all this volume is, consolidated there, and then started to move out on Thursday, about to break into a new fresh RSI bull range. The weekly is still in a bear range, so you want to be somewhat cautious, but it's certainly worth taking a look at here. AMD is also working on a larger double bottom with a zigzag in the middle. So maybe it doesn't get over 187, but that's a potential target to, or milestone, as I like to say, to move up from here. Both in bear ranges and RSI for daily and weekly, so you do want to be a little more cautious with names that are in that situation. CEIX is an energy name that had a big pullback, has moved back up to a big volume node. So if we can move over this 25, 26 area or 26 area, then you could potentially have a good reversal. The weekly just pulled right back into the 45 EMA and is now curling back up. Lamb Weston is one that I noted that's already made a big move, but after such a big downturn and it being a food processing area, if you do think the staples and things like that are going to keep up, that might be one to look at. APPS is in a zigzag type scenario, but it's starting to gain some good back-to-back green days with some volume. It's tapered the last few days, so you might want to see if it can pull back to the 60 area or somewhere like that and then work against that 57.50 range if you're looking at it. But from a weekly standpoint, it held the RSI bull range both times and looks like it wants to try to move back over these moving averages. Moving on down through my list over here on the right, which I will put in the bottom of the blog post, Texas Roadhouse is one that caught my eye that basically could be nearing a polarity level to where it held this area for a while, kind of played around it, broke below it, became resistant. So now if it can move back over that 90-ish area, we could see back up to 96, 97 or higher. And from a weekly standpoint, with this long flaggy type scenario, it came just down to test the bull range and now wants to see if it can move higher. Some of the things like UAL, airlines, again, getting a lot of these double bottom looking areas on pretty much failed breakdowns that had a retest. It's kind of a crazy type look, but if we can move back over these middle peaks, it could be a good opportunity. Now, one that's held strength in LNTH basically had that little mini double bottom but never lost the daily RSI bull range, and then the weekly looks like it's turned up as well. So if you're someone who wants to be in the leaders, this is one that also on the weekly level is right at a huge breakout level. Another one, CDW, that caught my eye at a big breakout level here with RSI not overbought on the daily or weekly. That could be a real nice look. CHDM has had a nice pullback and come into a big congestion area here. So a move over, say, 240 could get this one started back up. And on the weekly, it really doesn't look bad at all. It's just kind of pulling back in the trend and maybe building a handle from this big cup and handle type idea. So moving on down, you can see ISRG. Oh, I just pulled it out. Let's move on. T-Tech is another one of those that's pulled back a decent amount on the daily, weekly, testing right around the 40 range. Markets are opening now, so we're going to start seeing some of these prices change. INSP, one that also caught my eye on a double bottom type, almost a failed breakdown. It looks like it's moving above that middle peak. That middle peak also engages on the weekly with these polarity levels back here. So RSI in the weekly never lost the bull range, is now turning back up. So a move over, this 245 to 250 area is probably bodes very well for this one to continue to climb higher. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. I'll put a list of all the tickers at the bottom of the blog post for Power Investing. And as always, you can go to the site power-investing.com. You can weed through a lot of these things yourself. You can really drill down and find the best opportunities out there, and then do what you always need to do, which is go through and do your own due diligence, make it your trade so that you know when to buy and sell and exit the trade and know you're wrong. All right, hope this helps everybody, and have a great week.